Hello. I was taking a moment. Tomorrow I'm joining my friend Amy and we're doing our vision board party, and it's a fun thing to kind of do at the beginning of the year. And in setting up for that, I was kind of reflecting on how I grew up and the last few years of being in school. Since it's fall just finished, I've completed over 33 hours so far. I have tons more to go, but in the last year and a half, I'm actually, it's been a year that I've been in school exactly. So it's exciting, and reflecting on how I grew up and some of the spiritual practices for me growing up. Yoga and spirituality were two very separate things. I started my spirituality practices and introduction into that around the same time as I was involved in yoga, probably around 12, 13. And even working with someone who I would consider like my guru. He was from Trinidad, and we would spend hours with him in meditation and communion, and it was just a very I'll be posting more about that pretty soon too. But how, and he actually always pushed me to go back to school. He's like, you need to go to school, you need to go to school. And especially now with how much science like kind of explains things, and what I'm reading in school isn't necessarily talking about like spiritual consciousness and like chakras and like other things, but using manifestation. Like I literally just had this like, oh my gosh, that is manifestation, and that's how we can create and manifest, and why vision boards and why intention and awareness is really, really important. So our emotions trigger certain responses, which happens with our amygdala. And this is so cool. Then our hypothalamus is what stores, and I think I would almost equate that to what someone would call an Akashic record, right? Our hypothalamus stores information depending on our reaction to certain things, and if something was traumatic or something was repetitive, that schema was created, and that information is stored in the hypothalamus. Well, depending on what that information is that's pulled out from the hypothalamus, you either activate your sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, or your rest and digest, or tend and befriend. And when we activate things from the parasympathetic nervous system, that's where manifestation happens. That's where creation happens, because there's no resistance, there's effort, there's ease. That's why a lot of people like the dream state or the lucid state. In Yoga Nidra, we take you to the space right before sleep and in between meditation, so you're awake but you're fully like in the body or not of the body. But anyway, so back to the vision board. And I guess when you're taking the time to think about what you want for your future, right? You're not creating from a panic state, a pain state. You're creating from an intentional state. And because you're creating from that intentional state, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you associate with that and that you continue to connect with help you create that. So when you create your vision board, using words like, what does it feel like for me? I'm manifesting more of that softer, they call it like soft girl era, that softer era, allowing myself to be loved, to open up, and to like, I manifest take the time and intention to actually put the energy into manifesting like a long-term partnership. And what does that feel like, right? It feels like comfort. Like when I connect to that feeling, it feels like comfort. It feels like security. It feels like ease. It feels like expansion. It feels like growth. So when I'm creating my vision board, the colors, the words that I associate to creating that and bringing that into my life are what I'm going to put on that board. And once the board is created and done, put it somewhere that I can see in my, in my little office area, or like, you know, whatever, taking a moment, looking at it and allowing myself to connect with that, to bring it in, right? For me, I want A+ on my board. I don't care about A+, but I want really good grades. I want to, you know, what's the next school I'm going to be transferring to in the fall? Like, so there are all these things that I want to create, and I want to consciously take the time to create and put that energy, because then here's the other cool thing. When we take the time to create those new schemas, something happens in our reticular activating system, in our brain. The thing like, when someone says, oh, you have a really good intuition. Well, you've really trained your RTA, your reticular activating system, RTS, RAS. Why did I say T? RAS. I was like, that's not right. Your RAS, your reticular activating system. I was like, something's not right there. When you continue to put something in your awareness, it helps you. It's that thing when we were cavemen and we needed to find safety, right? That thing that our brain is like, boom, boom, boom. So how can we train it and bring it into a softer, more gentler state to help assist us in creating our life, you know? And these things, I think when people try spiritual practices and manifesting and other things, I think that's the pill that's going to change everything. And it is a pill to help you get anything that you want to create in your reality. I will tell you that. But life happens. Life has its ups and downs. But when you learn to sit in the energy of trusting that you are held, trusting, and mindfully knowing the words that you say about yourself. I am guilty about some of the not nice things I say about myself. I'm like, hey, don't do that. Like, we don't want to create that, right? So yeah, and I just thought that would be really something fun to share, because as the year progresses, there are a few things that I want to delve into outside of just yoga. I love yoga, and yoga has been with me since I was really young, like I said earlier on this, and I love it. And I hope everyone falls in love with yoga, whether it's like a yin yoga, a yoga nidra, the spiritual practices of learning about the yamas and niyamas, and reading the yoga sutras, or even just the mythology behind the asanas. Like, yoga is such an amazing science of the body and spirituality. Like, it's like almost the science of how to integrate the two, almost. Science and the mind, the body and the body and the mind, to integrate the two holistically. Yeah. So I used to feel like really weird for being spiritual and like having beliefs of like, oh my gosh, you have to be positive, but it's fucking true. Like, if you want to be negative and in that heavy, dark energy, then that's what you are going to be bringing to you, because that's what you're telling your brain to look for. And I don't mean to be mean or rude, but if you're always thinking someone's going to fuck you over, if you're always thinking you're going to get hurt, or in that negative, dark, just even talking about it just feels like a energy I don't want to be in, then that's what you're going to get. And when you talk about finding the perfect job, or the community, or the friendship, or the partnership, or cultivating a relationship, I've really tried to be intentional with cultivating being a mother, and that, and manifesting certain things within that. So yeah, anyway, I kind of digress, but hopefully this video helps. It's 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes long. If you watched the whole thing, thank you so much. If you'd like to learn more about me and what I do, go to thegroupwellnessproject.com. You can follow me on Instagram at just_BrittanyKate. Maybe you came from Instagram, but whatever. If you liked it, comment, share, subscribe, let me know what you think. But thanks so much for actually taking the time to watch this whole thing.